Hi there, I'm Megan Aller, Account Executive with First American Title in Denver, Colorado, giving you your weekly video market update. This week we're going to talk about the speed of the market, and as we go into our compression phase, how quickly will the market continue to move. Please keep in mind that the numbers that I report are only for the 7 metro Denver counties. If they're not listed here behind me, I would encourage you to take a look at those. Now, time on market. Again, we have that nice wavy pattern that shows seasonality in our marketplace. Even when we were in a buyer's market back from 2006 until 2012, we've still had that nice wavy pattern that shows that homes end up selling faster as we go into those spring and summer months. As of right now, so January, those numbers are coming in at about 42 average days on market and 28 median days to contract. Now, that is about to pick up at a very quick rate as we start to get into the compression phase. What we'll see is our average days on market and our median days on market nearly cut in half. That starts now. Okay. Now, looking at the bookends of the year, January, February, typically November and December, we're looking at about 30 to 40 days on market in order to get those properties put under contract. But as we start to get into April, May, June, and July, that number ends up dropping down to about 3 weeks median average on market before it goes under contract. We expect that this year is going to be very much the same. Now, I've also taken this information and I've broken it out for you by price range, and obviously those units that are selling at lower price points have a higher amount of demand due to a larger buying pool. Those units will end up selling a lot more quickly than those units at the higher end of the market. So looking at those units between 200,000 and 400,000, which is where we have the most amount of demand right now, as of January, that number is looking at about 30 average days to contract. By the time that we get into those units going under contract in April and May, I anticipate that number dropping down to about 10 to 14 days on market. If you're looking at those units between 1 to 3 million, it's roughly 3 months to contract at this point. That number will drop by about a month as we start to get into that heavier selling season, again, March, April, and May. When we look at median days to contract, and I would like you to use and become very familiar with median days on market, the way that we end up calculating median days on market is that we take all of the days on market, line them up sequentially in order from lowest to highest, and it's the number that ends up falling in the middle, okay? So this means that if you are not under contract by the time that we hit median days to contract, that you are in the bottom half of the market. And that means that more than half of the other homes have already sold while you're still hanging out and waiting to sell. So the way that you can use this to your advantage is if you need to negotiate a price reduction or if you need to do a price improvement with a listing that you have that's currently on the market. Between January and February, typically you have 2 to 3 weeks before you need to start considering a price reduction. However, look at those units that are going under contract and closing by April, May, and June. It's 7. That means that half of the units are under contract and off the market within that first week in time. So the market starts to pick up drastically. As we get into September, October, November, and December, buying pool recedes again, and those units end up hanging out about 2 to 3 weeks on the market, okay? Now, flash sales, and that's the rate of units that go under contract in 7 days or less. Again, nice, predictable pattern behind me. What we're looking at right now is that the rate of flash sales are the units that are going under contract in that first 7-day period. While as of January, it's about a quarter of them. By the time that we end up getting into April and May, which is our fastest selling season, that those will typically be closer to about 50 to 60% of all the units will be gone in that first 7-day period. So what does that mean to you? Well, that means that if you price it right the first time, it will sell faster and for more money. So the question is, how do you know if you've priced it right? Well, if you get a contract, okay? So if you get a contract and you go under contract, that means that you've priced it right. How do you know if you've priced it incorrectly? Well, we can track the percent of close to original price ratio, and we can see that those units that are closing in 7 days or less, as of January, they're likely to get 101.9% of what they were originally listed for. However, those units that are sitting on the market 8 to 14 days, there's negotiating power that happens at that point. It drops down to 98.6, and by the time that we get into 15 to 21 days, now it's 3% off of that original list price. That means that there's likely at least one price reduction that's in there, as well as some negotiating power that happens after that. So as of January, it's typically about 3 weeks to contract. That will start to speed up, and please keep in mind that March, April, and May, with 7 median days to contract, that you have to be ready to go that very first weekend that you present that listing to market. Okay, so the market is very quick, but it's also very quick to correct you if you've priced your property incorrectly. If you'd like to get a copy of these slides, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm happy to share the slide deck, and I hope that this helps you get more buyers and sellers under contract. We're looking forward to seeing you at our closing tables in 2019. We'll see you soon.